not lose focus but by your sexuality. So even though, you had the black awareness of black community, it sounded as though you, I don't know, shielded it out, or people did not try to present obstacles or challenges for you?
Well, I think, no, I think that it was a challenge. Having gone to a prep school, the University School for Boys in Ohio, in Hunting Valley, Ohio, where I was popular, played soccer, football, all of those sorts of things, and was basically out. People knew me and they appreciated me. And growing up in that bubble, and then coming to Tufts, which was also a kind of rarefied air, I came with a sense of people liking me in my totality.
Right.
My first year at Tufts, however, was a challenging one because I came as someone who was an openly gay individual, and this is in 1973. And the hardest place I had was with other African American students, who, both African American students and white gay students as well, African American students who were rejecting me because I was gay, and gay white students who didn't want to be associated because by being associated with me, I outed them. So my first year at Tufts, literally, I would say I ate practically every meal my first year by myself, to the point that even to this day, I love my downtime and eating meals alone. That's my time. So that I took something that could have been a moment of huge isolation, and I made my life then in Boston. If you won't work with me here, then I'll find people outside of this environment. And then that evolved, and I made some core friends, many of whom are my dear friends. I refer to them as my Tufts family to this day.
Yeah. I like that term you just used, rarefied air, in terms of, having sort of a privilege. I don't want to quite...
No question.
But that privilege, and how does that transfer, or how does that affect in the work that I do? I'm in the bushes, on the streets. And have you seen young men coming through the challenges that they've faced in terms of being gay men and the challenges of being out? Any thoughts, any suggestions about how we might begin to...
Yes, that's a great question. I think that one always wants to approach this very cautiously. And having gone to PWIs, or predominantly white institutions, for most of my life, and being one of a few, the institutions that I went to, because of the investment that they had made in me, also had a certain obligation to make sure that I succeeded. I think that there can be some challenges for people as I'm watching some of my younger mentees who are at historically black colleges and universities, who are proudly out and who want to be at HBCUs and not at PWIs, or predominantly white institutions, particularly for their advanced degrees. There are certain kinds of challenges for what that means for them.
HBCUs,
historically black colleges and universities. And I understand, but at least my purpose in life has always been to try to pay it forward. And so I act as a mentor, a support for them. And I have a network of people who I'm blessed around the country and around the world that, and I don't ask often, but if I say, I would like you to look out for X person, that they respond. I just did that recently for someone, and he said to me, my God, I can't believe everybody responded. I said that, well, yeah, I've earned that.
It speaks to your presence
and I would respond to them, too, if they asked it from me.
Let's talk a little bit about a legacy project that we wanted to kind of mount here in Boston, and we wanted to keep it focused on African American men and women. What do you think? What do you think that project would look like, and the value of it?
I think it's so important because our stories haven't been told. When we look at gay life in most cities, but particularly a city like Boston, and I was just having this conversation after church with some brothers who are who I've known for years. You know, I go to Union United Methodist Church, which is such a welcoming, holding, embracing environment. And so many of the brothers who go to unions and sisters are people who I've known for years. And we were talking after church last Sunday about the ways in which we needed to capture some of those memories, things like the Black Men's Association, or BEMA, that if you say that to some people, they will go, there was a Gay Black Men's Association in Boston? Oh, child, yes, there was a Gay Black Men's Association. And, you know, and it was both about, and it paralleled groups like Papagayos, which was a predominantly white gay social organization that had one African-American member, but where we would have events and house parties and dances and, you know, some of usually the mess that went on with people. You know, people who would be going out with each other today and not necessarily talking tomorrow, or that sort of foolishness. Yeah. But when we go back and think about those days, or think about bars like The Other Side, or think about if we move into the 80s, think about and capture what it meant to go to bars like the Haymarket, which was such a cross-section. Everybody went there, you know, kind of at the epoch of house music. And so you could stand there being grand in one end and watch someone working trade over on the other end, and everything kind of mixed together. And it was amazing to have that kind of energy and that kind of space. All of that was so exciting.
And the racial piece here is that there's no black bars for black men in Boston.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
And so what are black gay men doing? what do they do to be accountable, or to be present?
People are, again, mainstreaming, or you are going to certain key leaders' homes who entertain. You know, it's one of the ongoing traditions in this city for years and years and years has been either the New Year's Eve party that Joseph Reed and Arnold Sapenter have hosted for all sorts of people, or their Christmas event where you will see people from all over the city. There are events like the Baird Rustin Community Breakfast that I'm proud to have been a part of. There are things like that where we periodically will come together, and as we are growing or aging in place, I'm finding that Sunday mornings at church, or having that coffee hour has also become one of those things.
One of the wonderful things about Union is the journey. Unfortunately, we lost, well, he actually had moved on.
Right, he had moved to Bishop McLee.
McLee, yeah.
Yes, Martin McLee, a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, and, you know, we hold him up. But the other gentleman there that's just kind of skyrocketed, blasted off, Douglas Brooks.
Yes.
You know,